Happy March 32nd, everyone. This is Jeff from the Overwatch team with another developer update to tell you about something super awesome. First off, you might be wondering, another new hero. Didn't you just announce Brigitte? I'm sorry, I mean Brigitte. Brigitte? No, hold on.
Brigitte. Brigitte.
Danke, Frau. Brigitte.
Brigitte, well, actually, if you look at the date she was announced, it was March 0th. That was no coincidence. She was just our March Fool's joke. And the story behind it is the following. At Chris Messlinger made a very insulting video about me where he criticized my understanding of balance in a terrible Chris Mess song. Since I am the great Jeff Kaplan from the Overwatch team, your Lord and Savior, I could not accept that and had the amazing plan to create a character that is a combination of the heroes that Linger consider to be the most boring, Reinhardt and Lucio. And we named her after Linger's grandma, Brigitte. We got a lot of comments of people who found out that Brigitte is just Reinhardt and Lucio combined. They also criticized that our last new heroes have just been abilities of multiple existing characters thrown together and wanted something original for once. If you want something original, here you go. The actual hero 27 is Zelda. She has an interesting and very unique backstory. So way back when the three golden goddesses created the world, they also left a relic that holds the world together. It's in most folds and gives the wielder nearly unlimited power. The Triforce deep within the Temple of Anubis and ordered the goddess highly to watch over their creation. And the Triforce, with advancing technology, humanity eventually sort of started playing God, creating armies of robots that were superior to any life form. And as it was bound to happen, the robots turned against humanity, starting the Omnic Crisis. Highly joined the humans in the war, but the Omnics were so powerful that their strength exceeded even that of the goddess. Highly then gathered her closest followers and founded Overwatch, her elite unit in the war against the Omnics. After 10 years of war, Highly barely won. However, she was gravely wounded and the destruction was tremendous. She knew that another war of this dimension could not be won and that the Omnics would strike back. The only solution she could find was to use the power of the Triforce, but the Triforce can only be used by a mortal. So, in order to save the world, she made the decision to sacrifice her divinity and immortality and was reborn as the human's Zelda. Today, 20 years after the Omnic Crisis and after her rebirth as Zelda, the second Omnic Crisis is about to happen, and she seeks to enter the Temple of Anubis and acquire the Triforce. Now, Zelda might be a human, but she inherited some magical abilities from her previous life. On the battlefield, she uses these abilities to support her team, so she is categorized as a support character in Overwatch. Her primary weapon is called the Bow of Light. She shoots light arrows that can penetrate enemies. As her alternate fire ability, she summons a phantom to fight for her. Once the phantom is summoned, she can order it to go to a certain spot by pressing alternate fire on the floor, or she can order it to attack an enemy by pressing alternate fire on the enemy. The phantom has 300 health, 250 of which is shield health. It's equipped with a sword and a shield, and as soon as it takes damage, it will hold the shield up and will be invulnerable from the front for 1 second. Now, it doesn't deal a lot of damage by itself, but it has other purposes that we will get to later. She can also summon fairies by pressing E that will stay in one place and heal in a small radius around them. They won't heal much at first, but as the phantom deals damage, their healing rate will be increased until Zelda dies. In addition, enemies that are within the range of the fairies will receive 30% less healing. Only 3 fairies can be summoned at once, and their effects don't stack. Her shift ability is a very unique movement ability. It's a teleport that switches the positions of Zelda and her phantom. I'm sure you've all been waiting to hear what her ultimate ability is. Its name, Rusla. Using it makes Zelda cast a protective spell that surrounds everyone on her team with a magic barrier. This barrier reflects 30% of the received damage back to the enemy. This can be useful in a lot of situations. Just imagine your team gets caught in a graviton surge, for example, and the enemy, Pharah, is about to rain justice from above. Then Zelda uses her ultimate ability, and Pharah dies during Rocket Barrage, which is very rare because it's probably the strongest ability in the game.
Fire at will. Justice reigns.
And lastly, Zelda, of course, also has a passive ability. It's called Dying Wish. When she dies, highly old leaves her body and heals everyone on her team within a 20-meter radius by 50 health before ascending to heaven. That's all about Zelda. Hopefully you will like her and enjoy playing her. We gave our best to create a unique hero based on things we didn't have in Overwatch before. Magic summoning and a support character with stationary healing. Actually, we started designing her right after Link went live on the PTR last year. And since then, we have been testing a lot of different abilities on her. For example, in the very first version, she didn't have the bow of light. Instead, she would cast fireballs, and her alternate fire was a bigger and slower fireball that would follow her crosshair, shift, and eat the fairies and the phantom. Later, we gave her the bow instead and made her primary fire a player piercing arrow and her alternate fire a barrier piercing arrow. But then we decided that we didn't want another barrier piercing ability, so we moved the phantom to alternate fire and added her teleport as new shift ability. Regarding the ultimate ability, our first version was that Zelda would surround her team, but not herself, with barriers, and the barriers would negate all damage for 2 or 3 seconds, but if Zelda died, it ended early. However, this would create a similar play style to that of the old Mercy that Zelda had to hide, and even after we limited the range of the ultimate ability, we didn't like it and eventually changed it to what it is now. What took the longest was to decide what benefit the Phantom should give her. We tested many different things, like that the Phantom's hits would create a 1 second burst healing from her fairies. The hits would increase her damage, or her hit she would gain a special arrow that dealt more damage, or had other special properties. But in the end, we settled for lowering the healing of her fairies and creating a mechanic that would gradually increase their healing rate by dealing damage. So the creation process was a lot of fun and challenged our creativity as game developers to come up with the best possible design. She is available for testing on our PTR right now, which is our public test region. So have fun testing her, and don't forget to give us feedback about what you think of her. If she seems to be too strong or too weak in certain aspects, we are ready to make adjustments as quickly as possible to make sure that she will be balanced for the live release. I was totally kidding, by the way. She will be released as she is now, so that was just me being silly. We are also working on a brand new map, Hyrule Castle Town. It's another great assault map, and we really felt like the game needed another assault map. But we are seeing some issues with the assault mode. We've noticed that an inordinate number of these matches are going into overtime with never-ending stalls, and this is resulting in very long match times. When we look at Control, Hybrid, and Escort compared to Assault, we were really surprised to see that Assault was sort of an outlier in terms of how long matches were taking. To solve this for Season 10, the Assault maps will have an additional 5 minutes per point to give the attackers a chance to break the stall. Also, for all new Assault maps, just like on the Horizon Lunar Colony map, we will put the defenders spawn with the area where they can't be damaged at all right next to the point to compensate for the extra time the attackers get. In addition, we still feel like the control mode takes too long, and since nobody likes that mode anyway, we will further reduce the match time to best out of one, so whoever wins the very first round will win the match. You have to know that even though statistics in the community feel one way about something, if we as game developers disagree with it, we will still do it. It's all about our feelings as professional bronze players. Regarding the Hanzo rework that we mentioned first here ago, his rework as Link from Skyward Sword is almost ready to be put on the PTR. That's all for now. Have fun with the new hero. And on behalf of all of us on the Overwatch team and at Blizzard, we want to wish you and your family a very cold and snowy March 32nd. Please remember to be good to each other, and we'll see you guys in the next developer update. Fixing it with Jeff.